At this moment, in the wake of George Floyd, in the wake of Rayshard Brooks, in the wake of Tamir Rice, in the wake of Philando Castile, in the wake of Walter Scott, and so many others, in the wake of all of that, let's think about ways in which we can literally defund things that don't work, fund things that do work. We hear from demonstrators, protesters, communities of color, literally in grief and in pain, defund the police. The response to this three-word phrase has been by some that it is irrational, it is unreasonable, it is inconceivable that you could defund and disband the police. In other quarters, the response to defund the police has been to weaponize the phrase and to juxtapose the phrase defund the police with law and order. I would simply encourage and call upon members of our community and communities elsewhere to go beyond three words, to look at history, to look at data, to look at the trauma and the experience of communities all across this country. So when you look beyond the phrase defund the police, let's look at other criminal justice reform efforts that have begun with defunding and ended with transformation and reform. In Harvard's backyard in Massachusetts, the former commissioner of youth services, Jerome Miller, looked at the tragic state of reform schools in the state of Massachusetts. Schools in which children were traumatized, violated, they were ill-served by the very state that they called home. Jerome Miller looked at the state of reform schools in Massachusetts and he depopulated the schools, moving children from reform schools into group homes. And after depopulating the reform schools were defunded and group homes were invested in. Massachusetts is not the only example. When we look across the country, red states and blue states, Republican governors and Democratic governors, they've taken notice of the revolving door of recidivism, the high cost, the exorbitant cost in dollars and lives of people going back and forth between the community and the prisons. And so in states like Texas and Louisiana and other places, we're seeing secure facilities, prisons closed in favor of investments in community-oriented solutions in terms of public safety. Let us look at the experiences of states, red states, blue states, small towns, large cities, to look at what we might do in response to literally 1,000 people losing their lives at the hands of the police each and every year. With 1 out of every 1,000 Black men can expect to lose their lives at the hands of the police, where the 6th leading cause of death among young Black men is police homicide. Defunding the things that don't work, funding the things that do work, with a sense of urgency, a timetable, metrics, goals, objectives, is the moral response, the public policy response to this crisis in American history.